Hello, Yasha. It was a pleasure meeting you the other day. Um, my wife has yelled at me already, saying it's presumptuous of someone like me who just dabbles in a tiny bit of piano playing to offer any type of advice to someone of your studies and caliber. But really, the advice isn't about how to play the piano or how to be a better pianist, anything like that. It is the business sense and the use of the digital medium that I think is where I might be able to give you some guidance. Um, and as I mentioned, I'm fully retired at this point and enjoy helping people when I can. So please accept any of this as kind of well-intended advice, and you can follow up with me as you see fit. The other thing I'd mention is I've just shot this on various clips. I've not done any production value on this or editing or whatever, other than some rough cuts. Obviously, if we were doing this for other people, there'd be a lot of extra time and effort into it. So please accept this as not a representative of what I might be able to put together or help you put together as a finished product. So let's talk about it. A couple of things. Number one, based on your business model, I know you're using, um, the hardware is your actual piano and maybe an iPad. I also understand you've limited your teachings to students in the area where you live. And I know a few things. Just a little bit of background. Uh, I'm now a retired attorney. I'm 62 years old. Um, I my wife and I wanted to be active and involved parents, so I did a lot of things with students. I coached both kids' baseball and softball teams from essentially first grade through ninth. Um, I ran with a high school cross country team. Um, I was the student body PTA president for a couple of years. I was the Secret Santa at the school when they were younger. So I've been active and involved with kids and kind of know how they learn, and I also know that all students learn differently. And so a couple of things came to mind. Number one was that under your current business model, if all the kids are in the same time zone, they're at school at a certain period of time a day. And that's going to limit your ability to productively have workflow as a teacher throughout the entire day. I know you're going to be working on your own music at times, but then with the $95 an hour kind of cap on what you're making, there's a self-limiting amount. So a couple of ideas. Idea number one is that by getting you into the digital medium, maybe by YouTube videos or otherwise, it would allow your outreach to occur so that you'd get other younger students in maybe different time zones that kind of allow you to teach more during the day. Also, kind of once you get such a demand for your services, you may be able to increase your rates considerably for specific students. So those are the type of things that I think might be able to help you, and I want to drill down on some of them. So, okay, here we go. I'm on Zoom now, and this is going to be super basic. All right. Um, Number one, you can high end this little rectangle here. We can move this all around as we're talking. We can make it bigger. We can make it smaller. Whatever. So that's all window dressing for now. What you'll see is this is a basic setup. All right. I have the original sound for musicians on, which is critical because otherwise noise canceling will prohibit you from hearing the piano. I ended up I have two cameras. They were on Amazon. They're cheap. They're like 40 bucks each. Again, higher end, you can get better resolution. I have morning sun behind me, which is interfering with the video quality here, but again, I'm not worried about that for now. I would worry about that if we were doing something formal. So what you can see obviously is that I have Musescore pulled up, and I'm giving you an example. So let's pretend that you're working with a student on uh, our nice song here. We have multiple options that are not available to you. First off, you're recording your lesson, and the lesson then can be replayed by the student. Number two, Musescore allows so much versatility. It has a library bank of free music that is incredible, uh, both popular and classical. This came off of Musescore, for example. Um, and what it also allows the student to do without the teacher being around is to play the song. And this is free software, by the way, so any student can have access to this. But as you just heard, as I touched middle C, or maybe you didn't because I have my volume down, but as I touched middle C here with my cursor, it's live. And let me just see if I can, I'm using my zoom in radar here, okay? So what the student can also do is play the song virtually through the music player to get a general idea. Now it is stilted, it's not going to give any of the passion, personalization that a human play would do, but again, there's so many good things here. That's just an example. The other nice part is that you're going to be able to make notations. You can actually now edit this, all right? So we can go into text. I could go down to choose something like where it's expression, and expression text could come in. As you can see, it's here in the first measure. And you can type notations to the student just like you would handwrite on it. They can also do that to the extent that they need to um, make themselves a little bit of cheat notes. The other thing is you can make it harder or easier. In other words, I'm not going to save these changes, but for example, if I wanted to go to octaves here, I can go to active writing, okay, and basically I've just touched it with the keyboard. Oh, you want to see that? You didn't see that? Oh, so sorry. Give me 1 second. And what I'm going to do is change my video. And I could have done that more seamlessly. I'm just bad. But now my camera angle, I didn't move it. I have two set up, and I'll take a picture of that for you later. But you could actually see the hand positions. And again, I just rough in this for the purpose of this. We can zoom in as well. If I can do it relatively quickly, if not, I'll do it on another one that I'll queue up. In fact, what I'll do is we'll edit this out, and I'll just remind myself to come on back, but I'll do it live for now. Is I should be able to show you the piano. Here's our mixer, sorry. All right, so now we also have the virtual keyboard being displayed, which can be moved up, but as you can see, let me try to undo my edits. Sorry about that. All right, I can actually touch the keyboard if I wanted to show a student something, and they can orientate themselves not only on my fingering, but on the virtual keyboard as well. And again, it's showing a couple of things I might not want to show right now, and I can drag that over, but again, I'm not doing it for production quality. I'm just giving you examples at the moment. Okay, we're back. I'm going to try to get to show you just a little bit about a little other features of Musescore without getting into it. There is so much that would assist you. But you can also start with a new score. So here I've picked the grand staff, and I can also go on. We're going to keep it simple. I, it defaults to C and it defaults to 4/4 and this tempo. So let's just assume that you could type it in as lesson 1, for example, um, and there's no copyright or whatever else. But let's just get to that. All right. So now we have lesson 1 pulled up, and the beauty of this is that as I am touching the keyboard, I'm going to press middle C for a moment. I am so sorry, I have to put my writer on. I can listen in this mode, and if you see as I come over here to this pencil right over here, top left, I'm circling it for you. If I activate that, the default is quarter notes, but you can change the note value, and that becomes critical. So first you can design your own theory lesson or a edited piece for a student, but then it's as easy as I'm pressing the note. I'm going up higher now, just so you might be able to see my fingers on the actual keyboard, and it's populated. I find this as an adult learner great because if I'm listening to something on YouTube and trying to recreate it, I notice that my ability to count rhythm as a person that's only played piano with themselves and not a band or orchestra or anything like that, my idea of counting and tempo is terrible. And this forces me at times to understand note value, and I think it has value, no pun intended, to the student. I'll show you on another example. So that's the beauty of this notation device, and it can be used in several different ways. I'm going to try to get out of that and give me one moment. All right, now I am into my page turner. I showed you that I have a foot pedal, the Air Duro. You can use this. Obviously, it integrates with your iPad as well. So your iPad would be up on your where your music stand would be, and by touching the left and right pedal, I can change through uh, without having to use my hands, which is handy. Again, no pun intended. Now, for yours truly, I'm a cheater, and what happens is I'm trying to remind myself as I'm getting back into practice where the chord changes are. And so what you've seen is I've taken something that was free online, and I started an exercise for myself where I'm writing myself notations as a chord change or change in notes. And I've just randomly selected the red as I'm going lower on the bass clef, and then green as I'm coming back up. I believe there's one or two, yes. Like for example here. Now I know that's horrific, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to a true student, but what I'm just trying to give you an example is you can use colors, as I showed you the text notations. Let's say your student's having trouble with fingering, you can put it in nice and neatly instead of little pencil marks in their notebook or music pad or whatever. So it just adds that caliber of professional skill. This, you can build a music library for the songs that you like, and you know There's my Bruce Springsteen. I cheat to remind myself where I'm starting. Those are hard, rough notes. Um, but, it, you know, it, this is a great way to then save once you've done your music writer or you've found something on the internet. You can save it and consolidate. This again, this one actually might have been like something like $30, but very, very handy. Um, all right, we're going to jump over to virtual instruments, which now everything I've told you right now is something that let me just see if you can see my smiling face. Hold on one sec. Switching cameras. Everything I've talked about so far can be done with a camera or two, use of Zoom. There's other ones out there, but Zoom again is free. So I'm trying to show you what you can do for little to no money. And then what I'd like to do is put in a pitch about the virtual instruments and why that helps. And then also talk to you a little bit about some other equipment that you might consider going down the road. And we'll do that on my next installment. All right, we're going to quickly talk about virtual instruments, again with the eye on the fact that if a student has a digital piano, if you're starting to lose them, and sometimes you get to students that they're very good in their second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, they start to hit that middle school years, and you're getting depressed because you spent a lot of time and effort with them, and suddenly you're not holding their interest. So this adds something. Plus, adult pianists may want to have different voices to experiment with, particularly if their ear is starting to tell them, hey, I want to play this song like this or like that. So the Yamaha, for example, comes with only a few piano voices. So I bought some more high-end voices for that through a company called Complete Control. I've also, there's a free one called Sample Tank, and I'm just going to show you them quickly. So give me one moment. So Complete Control has phenomenal, I'm just going to touch on the basics. I wanted to have some old school piano sound that kind of felt like that 100-year-old piano that I was playing in college. This is not it. I've dialed them in and you can see the different variations down there, but this is their basic. Maverick, which is a model of a much older piano, has that very soft touch, muted almost feel and sound. Their grandeur is going to be more of your concert piano. So the bottom line is it allows somebody to really dial in the piano voices if they want. A more realistic one and a free one at the beginning, they get you addicted and then you want more voices, is something called Sample Tank. As you'll see, I can load multiple instruments and track and record. So that's a whole nother level of interest when you get a student that starts to display interest in music that might be beyond their piano skills that you want to foster as well. You can see the virtual keyboard at the bottom, so that as you're playing, you're actually populating as well. Give me one moment and see if I can call something up. I don't think I've loaded an instrument yet. So for example, I can play a full orchestra if I want. Also, there's plenty of piano options, and like for example, I was working on Minute by Minute by Michael McDonald, trying to get that funk groove, and I wanted to have something that sounded like a Rhodes. Um, so I fell upon this one, like uh, playing around with some type of Ray Charles. You get like your growling electric piano. So it just gives you a lot of different options there. Um, and again, I think I mentioned this earlier, but headphones are also a plus. Let me talk to you just briefly about other type of hard and software. So your basics are just your two uh, uh, cameras, maybe a microphone, foot pedal if you like you yourself. Let's assume you're a Mac guy, which I also totally get. Then what I would consider investing in over time is the Mac Mini. It's that little box. I could show it to you. It comes preloaded if you want with GarageBand, which gives you all those beautiful virtual instruments that work in there if that's something you like. There's also you load for free Musescore. They also have a incredible ProLogic, um, your total sound recording system. That would be there. That is a no-brainer if you're getting that. The reason why I'd say the Mac Mini, that little box, is because on my at my music stand, I've replaced it with a nice sized monitor. The iPad over time gets to be limiting in some, you're there with your fingers and whatever else. This way I have a little hand station. I can use my cursor and mouse and toggle between Musescore, and of course what I'm doing is a little different than you, but I'm jumping over to YouTube, getting some ideas, and then populating those onto Musescore so that then I can play around with them and make bad music. Anyhow, last part of this is I'm going to just show you some YouTube, but I'm going to transition, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to try to end where I started, and that's you using your video presence to enhance your reputation and also outreach. We talked about at the very beginning that given if you're working with a lot of school-age students, you're going to have a dead zone in the middle of the day. I roughly did 48 weeks of work per year at 5 days a week at 6+ hours at $95 an hour. You're self-limited to about 120,000 max, and I'm sure you may not be getting there because of time management. That means you'd be packing students in and making sure you're scheduled and overlapping. So the idea over time would be to get first of all, have a window of students in queue for you so that you can do it when you're available and can use more of your day doing it. And then also to ultimately have your reputation as such that two things are happening. Finding the right students that are interested in classical training in the way that you want to do, and then also that have the means to afford that. Obviously, you're in a great area downtown, but it's always an issue, especially if we start to think about increasing your hourly as the demand for you increases. So I'm going to try to be quick on this again, share my screen, and again point out that I'm doing this for illustrative purposes and not suggesting how you do it. These are just things that I think come in handy. One thing you'll find with certain students is that some are visual as well as auditory, so that for example, videos that you can pull up during a virtual lesson and talk about, as you can see here, while you're trying to show good hand seating position, etc. If you can borrow from some other videos or pull them up or create your own down the road, this gives you that type of option. Let me see if I can get to the next one relatively quickly. All right. I mentioned to you about this gentleman just because he's short and to the point without a lot of description before he jumps into a lesson. So I know it's contemporary and you're not interested in that, but it can be adapted. I do have some other examples of people trying to teach classical music. They tend to be uh, uh, less visual. And so therefore, I think there's a niche where you can learn from some of the popular videos that are out there. He's one of the best. There's another gentleman from the Contemporary School of London Contemporary School right here. That's another great link if you want to see more. But let's just look at what he's doing. First off, you can see him up here in a clear, easy area. He's using obviously the grand staff, and it's populating as he's playing. Not only are you seeing his finger position, but the overlay of the virtual keyboard is there, and also showing you where the placement is. So you're getting all this as he's talking, plus a student is able to, if you do it by YouTube, which you wouldn't necessarily, I can go into settings and I can adjust the playback speed. Even if you were doing it recorded on a Zoom lesson after the live visual, you could send the student, maybe for an additional fee, a copy of the lesson that they just had while they're practicing. And they can slow it down and watch what you've demonstrated. If there's a fingering technique or whatever is the point that you're trying to get across. So again, visual is going to reinforce, and the use of these kids are better. I have the friend with the 8 and 9 year old that are overly rambunctious and not disciplined with their piano, and was just trying to show them. And my friend is struggling to download some of the stuff or do the Zoom or adjust playback speed on the YouTube video that I'm calling up for them. And the 8 year old is showing, hey, dad, this is how you do this. So don't worry about kids knowing enough to navigate. Most of them are more sophisticated on the computer than you or I. So I'm just going to play just a minute or two of this and you'll get the general idea. He's clear spoken, makes good eye contact, and breaks it down easy.
Just rolling the notes from bottom to top with the pinky, index, and thumb while holding down the pedal, or just holding down your fingers, or both. So make sure you can do that comfortably.
Anyhow, I'll send you the link in my description. I'll pull the one from the London Contemporary School as well. And then there's um, some of the classical ones that are also good, so that you know there are competitors out there on YouTube for classical, but you can see what he does too. See, he's not hawking his lessons or whatever, but you can get more description about him. You can buy, he works on some of his sheet music lessons, and then you can go buy them or support his channel or whatever. And he just comes off very professional, and I know you would as well. So those are my thoughts initially. Anything more that I've touched on, uh, we can do some type of Zoom or whatever and play around as well. Um, anyhow, uh, look forward to talking to you after you've had a chance to absorb some of this. Thanks.